Hello everyone and welcome to Movies of Darkness. I am Frozen Fallout and today Moto Rory and I will be watching Hackers. Moto, what can our listeners expect?
Well, Frozen, we're going to be watching Hackers and trying to interpret the events in the story from the perspective of the World of Darkness role playing games. If people would like to watch along, they can go ahead and hit play now. The main thing that we're going to be doing is trying to explain how the events on screen would be interpreted according to if they happened in a session of a World of Darkness game. For example, we might say that a certain event would require a roll of some sort, or if we encounter a character, we'll be speculating on what type of supernatural they might be and what powers they might have. Also, while we watch, we'll be filling out a character sheet for the main character of Hackers, the legendary Zero Cool. Now, if you're watching along with us, currently on screen, we're seeing some, looks like a SWAT team. There's a guy with a hose washing a car.
Yep, so this is the initial raid on the house. Also a spoiler alert. We will be spoiling the movie. If you haven't seen this before, I suggest watching the movie before listening to this, and then watching the movie along with us at a different time instead of your initial viewing. So they're breaking in right now into Dade's house, and this is kind of like the opening. So it's crazy for hackers. They do like full, they would do a full gear for a little kid. I don't know if that's realistic or not, but I think it actually is.
Well, it is the NWO doing it in my mind. So,
Absolutely. That
yeah,
would
why not?
be that would be the NWO. I would say that they would be. Uh, yeah, and
Yeah.
that's an interesting thing. They even say the word NWO in this movie at one point. So,
Oh, do they?
yeah, he
I'm
says,
not sure I caught that.
yep. I'm definitely gonna point it out when it happens. So yeah, so at this point they're talking about how Dade Murphy caused a bunch of crashes. It wasn't the great crash, the Black Friday or Black Monday that happened. That was in 1987. This is in 1988 in August. So this is just a made up stock market crash that like was a small,
Yeah.
a solid dip in the market due to what his activity was. But so at this point, do you
Yeah.
think he's
And no,
awakened or not at this
I would
child
say
level?
most most likely yes. There are instances of people being awakened very early in life. Um, but I think I wrote this down somewhere. Uh, so this is the case that they're depicting here is referencing something called the Morris worm, which was an accidental thing that some computer programmer released, and it fucked up the market and crashed a bunch of networks.
Oh, interesting. So
Um,
that's a real, is it a thing that happened in 1988 as well, or was it that just a, um,
I researched this a while ago. I didn't write it down, but yeah, it's kind of based on that. Um, now what is it? So my speculation is that his inexperienced magics interacted with a spirit that already existed on the digital web, and that's why he did it. Like he still had the skills, but it was not entirely his fault.
yeah, and I would say that he was stifled in his awakening because I don't think anybody in this is more than a two at most, and maybe everybody could even be just a level one mage in this. I don't think that
I
the one dot narite is all the advanced level that they expand for any action that they do. I don't think there's any action that can't be done with simple magic here or no magic whatsoever. Technically the only thing that it gets to a little bit is the hacking that they do seems to get a lot into what it would look like if you were hacking or what you would think a digital web interaction
Yeah,
would look
and in fact,
like right now there's
on
it just
screen right
switched me
now,
over. This is kind
yeah,
of
they're
what I
switching over to
imagine it's a computer board that they're showing us, but I kind of imagine this is also what the digital web kind of looks like, and these are all roads and conduits in the digital web.
Yeah. In fact, a lot of what people think the digital web looks like comes from this movie. Uh, it is, you know, it's quintessential.
Yeah, yep.
Uh,
There's a Lawnmower Man in this movie. I think comprise what I think of when I think of the digital web more than anything. Now that I've
yeah,
read Snow Crash, I think a lot of like Snow Crash is also one that I think of, but that's a book, not a movie. I
yeah.
do. Okay, so this is an interesting hack that he's doing here. So right now he's hacking into a phone company, and he's using social
No,
engineering
a TV.
or a
It's
TV,
a TV
sorry,
network,
a TV network,
but he's
correct?
using phones
Right.
because
He's
it's the '90s.
um so what he's doing here is the social engineering and also getting this guy to read off. So there's no reason why the phone why all of these have independent modems that are constantly hooked up running 24/7 onto the internet, and why their phone number would be on the thing here. Uh, but other than that, this is realistic to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
what's on
along
his
those lines,
screen right there
I
is
wanted to mention that originally the makers of the movie wanted to depict all of the hacking uh, completely mundane, but thankfully the producers got involved and they're like, "That's boring. Please do more graphics."
yeah. So they just blinked out the screen and made it what I say is the digital web. Basically, is what we see a lot here. Now, when he gets into the fight that he's about to be getting into here and he starts going into this like flashing into his movie mode, I think that that's his paradigm to a certain degree, is that he sees the world from more of a movie and TV kind of point of view, so he like flashes through a mental like gymnastics of insanity that happens in the background of his brain when he's hacking, that he doesn't see this
Yeah.
in a level of typing and entering codes and stuff, but he sees it in the like uh, an actual movie playing out during the hack kind of
Yeah,
thing.
so I would definitely say that he is using spheres right now uh, in order to affect the world. So I would actually put his arret at 2 at the very least. And let's say correspondence,
Correspondence
I would
would
say
be two.
2,
Yeah.
and maybe mind of 1 for that social engineering hack.
Yeah, just in the more probability. But
Oh, entropy.
entropy, I'd give him a dot in entropy. He understands chaos theory.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love
Also, the
this
music in
fight
this
right
movie.
here. Yeah, the music right here, acid burn. Like this is an interesting
Yeah.
depiction that I have no idea if that's at all what a movie place would have for an automated system, but this looks really realistic when it comes to the two machines grabbing at the tape dispenser. It just looks
Yeah.
really
I mean,
freaking
it's
cool.
definitely a system that a TV studio or a TV broadcaster would have. But I just keep imagining like what this would look like as like a static shot of the machine. And it's actually pretty boring. It's just freaking out a little bit. But what's happening in reality, or rather in the digital web, is they are throwing sphere magic at each other. And he just got defeated.
Yep, and remember their spheres are enhanced when they're inside of the digital web, so they'll have one more in correspondence, one more in uh, prime, and one more in forces, I believe.
Yeah. Okay, so just in the previous scene, he was about to call himself Zero Cool, but instead he called himself Crash Override. So the rejection of his online slash digital web identity, I'm going to say, gives him a higher difficulty rating to do things in the digital web.
No, I would say that he loses all of his digital web cred and street cred and stuff like that that he had, though. It would make it not necessarily everything more difficult, but it would destroy all of his contacts that he made back when he was a kid. Because even like later on in the movie, like when somebody hears Zero Cool, they're like, "Oh, I know who the fuck you are. Like, you're famous as fuck." Um, but at this point, he's trying to lay cool, so it's one of those staying
Yeah.
frosty by not
Actually,
having that street cred anymore.
what they use in the movie is the term elite, which I have interpreted as awakened. It's just, that's their jargon.
Actually, the new name for the
And they
virtual
don't,
adepts is the elite Mercurials or something like that. I hate it. I think it's stupid as hell, but I love virtual adept.
not
Um,
familiar.
but yeah, I would say that yeah, when people
Oh,
saying that you're elite is like, I would say Joey is like just. I think his awakening might have been the hack that spit out all the money, which we'll get to that later. So right now he's on
yeah.
his
Just to
skates
go
and he's
back a
just,
little
heading
bit,
to school.
uh, there was a Coke product placement that I just want to point out in the last scene,
Oh,
which kind of comes up later in a really stark manner. Anyway, so he just got to his new high school and he is about to encounter
freak.
Fearless Freak,
Which
who,
they say that. So I looked this up about the phone freaking. This is 100% real and is active at this point. It phased out at about 1995, 1996 that you could just do the tones, and there was other ways to like check to make sure. But that tone thing is 100% true. The phone freaking in this is really well done, actually.
yeah, it's a little bit. I'm not sure if he could talk to Venezuela, but yes, it's that's the classic. 2600 hertz is the tone that AT&T used, or something like that. Um, a lot of this is based in old hacking stuff. So him encountering Fearless Freak, though, I'm gonna argue over the course of this movie that there is a retroactive time and entropy effect, which in normal movies we would call foreshadowing. But in this world, I'm going to call it a magical effect that is retroactive, and you're going to be surprised who I think did it.
Oh, interesting. So you think there's somebody who started this whole thing all off?
Yeah, kind of.
Interesting.
But anyway, so
All right, so he's getting to his class here, and he's
yeah,
like,
so
"I'm
this
not
is
in your class." I love this like whole the bit here, though. He's like, "I'm not in your class," and he's like, "Give me time." And then
yeah.
the pool.
Although I don't. Yeah,
Yep.
which actually gets a callback in the very final scene of the movie, um,
Yes.
which is another part of the retroactive time and entropy effect. Um, but yeah, so that's Kate Libby, otherwise known as Acid Burn. I feel like there's nothing magical going on here. He just got trapped on the roof.
I know. I think that this is
Standard.
this is a I would explain this as a paradox backlash that happens retroactively after the fight with Libby. That this is like a paradox
Ooh.
flaw that was a very minor paradox flaw that he got. That was basically he's gonna be unlucky at the beginning. His first day of school is gonna suck basically. He can't find anybody to get him
Yeah.
to the principal's office. He meets up with this beautiful woman, but then she fucking screws him over.
Yeah. Okay, so let me get an interesting theory out here. Uh, so mages have resonance. The three main types are dynamic, static, and entropic. My theory is that Dade Murphy, when he was young, was corrupted by a spirit that took advantage of him and infected him with entropic resonance. Being disconnected from the digital web and mostly being taken care of by his mother, she overcame that and he gets dynamic resonance. So he's dynamic. Kate Libby is static. And so when they meet each other, they clash. And I'll expound upon that later. All right, so this is
So
where Freak is explaining he is the king of
yeah,
9X.
so this is they get into kind of handles here, how it's really your street cred and your name is really important, which is him burning his name, and going to um, crash override is a huge change, like for him. That's like he's like sees I don't have identity until I have a handle, and that is a huge thing for him to have given up his identity on the hacker circle. But I like this thing that he got invited to, though. I think this is a chantry. I would say
Oh, absolutely.
this is their little chantry that they have here, and this is an interesting one because this is one that's like a public chantry. Like a lot of the times you think of like these hermit caves or these castles or whatever in the middle of nowhere, but this would be like right in the middle of a city filled with mortals, and you
Oh,
know
well, New York has every single type of supernatural, uh, even in our world. Um, so, serial killer, played by the amazing Matthew Lillard, uh, is selling a mixtape of artists who asphyxiated on their own vomit. And I feel like what an amazing idea for a mage foci or fetish.
yeah, exactly.
Or what
Yep.
would they call it in the mage world? Um,
um I would
Vice? Wonder?
it would be a wonder. I could see making a wonder out of that it like gets you into the hacker mindset, even though maybe it can get you into other mindsets too, I guess.
Yeah. All right.
uh,
So a few things about this place. First of all, virtual adepts. We're basically at this point saying everybody's a virtual adept, right?
I mean,
Uh,
yeah, everybody
their thing is
here is a virtual adept. I would say there's a few other characters that'll go into the NWO, but I don't see any other tradition mages, not even Son of Ether involved in
yeah.
anything.
Now their thing is correspondence. So I'm just going to throw it out there. Bigger on the inside. Uh, their correspondence is all about movement through space. He's playing a video game where he's moving through space. Uh,
This is like a
it's a
test.
constant theme of moving around.
Yeah, and I think that this is like, so I think all of these are really low level mages, that there aren't any really powerful virtual adepts actually. These guys have just started up their whole own thing here. And this is like their little test that they have when when they meet a
Oh
new
yeah,
virtual adept, and it's like, ooh, and they're not even, I would say they're barely in the virtual adepts right now. These are all teenagers, they're just starting off, and they basically probably all just got kind of into this on their own. And this is that little test here, and he fucking aces it. You have to probably have solid skills in. And is this a real game? I've never seen this game. I'd never
I didn't look it up.
researched.
I don't think it is.
It looks
For
fucking
a lot
awesome.
of movies like this, I think they just kind of they made up stuff. Um, okay, yeah. So I would say that Dade definitely has an array of two at this point. The rest of them probably have one, except Kate might have two. I think.
Yeah, I think Kate might have two or just got her second. Yeah, he's like nobody ever beat her before. Like she's the top of the group here. I would say
Okay.
everybody else though demonstrates maybe some higher level powers of level 2 when they're in the digital web, but it's only when they're in the digital web, which makes sense. It's like when they get their correspondence
Yeah.
at 2.
Okay. So Kate Levy is making out with the guy on the motorcycle. Uh, there's no indication that he's any type of supernatural, but I'm going to throw it out here. He's a ghoul. He's ghouled to some sort of vampire clan.
He does seem like some kind of slick ass fucking ghoul guy, or even a vampire, because you never see him in the daytime. You only see him at night.
Yeah, actually, I think you're right.
So yeah, could be. Yeah, he
He
seems
oh
like a weird fucker though. Not the type that I would imagine.
yeah, I wrote down in my notes. He also might be a cultist of ecstasy, which makes a lot of sense.
Oh yeah,
Okay, so Dade hacking the school. I'm going to throw this as a time forces correspondence. Maybe
yeah,
entropy.
and I mean, it all kind of depends on how you kind of go about it, because this is truthfully doable. Like, to a certain degree, there is
Uh,
access to. Well, I don't know if at this time it was all linked up like the way that he made it out, like they made it out to be. But
yeah,
if he did, it is kind of interesting that nobody can figure out. So I'm almost inclined to say that this is magic having to have happen. Like he's using computers to make it seem coincidental, but he's definitely,
yeah. This,
broke the barriers of reality, because this is a little
yeah, he
crazy.
warped reality. Yeah. Also, I never realized this previous watching. The reason she's wearing the jersey is because she just got wet and her hair is still wet. I had
Yes.
never realized it before.
Yep, I just thought about that when I was watching it my last watch through, actually. I was like, "Oh, that's why she's in that weird fucking jersey." And she's
Yeah,
so pissed off. So what he did
yeah.
here, though, of getting himself into this class, this is doable, I believe, by just hacking into the computer systems. This is a
Yeah, it's the classic go in and hack your and change your grades kind of thing, but he just changed classes. The quote that he put up on the board is from Allen Ginsberg, who is a famous beat poet, and I'm going to say he Ginsberg was a cult of ecstasy, whose focus was poetry. I just want to get
Yep,
that in there
that makes
because
sense.
I find it interesting.
Did you write down
Uh,
what the quote was?
no, I did not.
Okay. I do love this one though. The of all the things I miss the most, or how does it go? Of all the things I
Of
miss
all
the
the things
most,
I miss the most, I miss them in my mind the most.
or of all the things I miss my mind the most. Ozzy
Yeah.
Osbourne.
Oh, also, when serial killer leaves, you can see that he has his full pack. I'm gonna go ahead and say that's essentially a bag of holding, correspondence effect, but nobody ever realizes it, and maybe even serial killer doesn't.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, he does always seem to have a lot of bunch of weird shit, because when he was pulling out those books, it just like it was way more than what was in his backpack. So
That
that's
hasn't happened
interesting.
yet.
Yeah, that
Uh,
hasn't happened yet, but that's a good point there.
yeah. The She's referring now to college applications, which is the technocratic paradigm, calling out to him, and he
Yes.
of course rejects it. And now we're back to Cyberdelia, which is the virtual adept chantry. Uh,
So yeah, this is where they start talking about the books and stuff. Now, I'm not 100% how real these books are. Did you research whether these books
I
are
am
real
pretty
or
sure
not?
these are all real. These
And
are all real,
even the
as
nicknames
far
they
as I
have
know.
for all of them?
Yeah, I think I looked up the big red book that doesn't fit on a shelf. It's real.
That was something I was pretty
No.
impressed with.
Also, he just says nameless, which is a thing in the world of darkness, but he's saying we're nameless.
Well,
Um,
that's my world of darkness. It's the unnamed. It's the true thing page.
or
I
the
chose it.
Neverborn. I think that it's
Neverborn
actually referred
is
to.
yeah. Well, there's Neverborn, and then there's the unnamed, which is a different thing.
And this thing goes so fast. Uh, I'm not sure when it happens, but at some point here, yes, it is already happening. Joey is smoking 2 cigarettes.
Yes.
I don't know what it means. I want it to mean something. Like it's like he's trying to double up on foci so that he can awaken or something. It's
Well, yeah, no, so this is, I think this might even be, he's traumatized by the awakening he just had,
uh
because he's about to tell the
oh,
story
because
of his first big
oh
hack across
the
state
hack, yeah.
lines, and he spits off, hundreds of dollars into the street. Um, and I feel like this is his, like, breaking through barrier and getting his first dot, and the, kind of still not even really awakened yet. And then I think that it almost goes all the way to the point where he hacks into the Gibson because why the whole Gibson hack is completely fucking weird. Like I'm gonna point out a few things when we get to it here, but yeah, this is he also did not get nailed by the FBI for crossing state
No, he
lines
did not.
because he never got caught
Yeah,
for
and in
this
fact,
action.
it's the Secret Service that they call in.
Which I
I
couldn't.
kept referring to it as the FBI, but they keep referring to it as the Secret Service, which it's all NWO to me. It's all the Men in Black.
Oh yeah, it's definitely NWO. I did find it interesting though because I don't believe Secret Service is involved unless there's a presidential threat, or am I wrong on that? Does the Secret
Oh, they,
Service do a lot of crazy shit that I don't know about?
I don't know why they use the
Or not
Secret Service in this
presidential,
script.
but it's like protection based, like governmental
Oh,
protection.
Secret Service does. They're involved in all monetary counterfeiting. It's
Oh,
like the weird thing from their history that they're also in charge of. Um, but yeah, interstate bank hacking would probably just be the FBI.
which he does say FBI here. He
Yes.
when he said you'll get busted by the FBI. So here's
Yeah.
another like
Now,
jump into the digital web, kind of seeing what Dade kind of sees here. Like you can see
yeah.
like
Well, this is Joey.
or Joey, yes, this is
And
Joey
in fact,
breaking in.
yeah, when they do these montages, I think
So
that's
right
when
there,
they're
hold on.
inserting themselves into the digital.
Oh,
No, we
yes.
can't go back.
No, but no. Just real quick, the thing about what just splashed up on the screen was it showed you what the password was, which means that, and everybody apparently knows what her password is. It just blows my mind because he comes in, he's like, not even God would be up this late. Maybe he's just saying that and didn't know that was, but it like flashed up in front of security what the password was. This is
Okay, I think it's her username and password are both God.
that could be
And in fact, the fun little thing there is in the previous scene when they're talking about the most used passwords, they refer to God as being used as a representation of the male ego, and it's not a man; it's the woman character.
yeah.
Also,
So
but yes, I would say that this is
see, look,
Joey's awakening.
It's flashing God. Like password. Oh my god. But yeah, this is his
All
like
right,
final awakening that kind of happens here. And kind of brings him in and
all right. So the Plague,
oh yeah, I love this
played
guy.
by Fisher Stevens.
So I
Oh man,
think
he's so good.
he is part of the syndicate, not part of the NWO.
Yeah, I think I've got four. Nefandus.
He's definitely
Uh,
Nefandus. On top of everything, no matter what,
okay,
he's definitely Nefandus.
okay. Possibly a Marauder, although unlikely.
No, he doesn't really exhibit any
Could
marauder traits.
I would accept that argument. Fomori.
And he could be just a Fomori, because he doesn't seem to. Though he does some interesting hacks into the like police database or whatever, the FBI database, in order to frame his mother later on. But I don't.
Yeah. See, I think
He doesn't
there's
really.
more spirit stuff going on than you might think, and I think he might be just in under the control of a spirit. Although, man, coming in at that, he loves that skateboard. Definitely some sort of focus.
Yeah, I think of him as a Nefandius mage. I think that's part of the syndicate originally. Now, so this is like an oil company, right?
Yeah, and theoretically, they use the Gibson to crunch geological numbers to find oil. So it
So
makes no sense that Joey's hacking would, strain the system. But if Joey is becoming awakened, also
yes,
the worm that he finds in the garbage file is obviously very complex, and I would argue is a spirit in the digital web.
Absolutely.
And so him downloading, that's like he's copying the spirit, which the Gibson, which also exists on the digital web, it's taking a lot of computing, quote unquote computing power.
Yeah, and I would say that
Also,
his
there's no
awakening is the thing of why he's like 100 users at once. Because I love, if you
yeah
look at this movie through the eyes of Mage, it makes way more sense. It. But if you try and make it like realistic, like there's absolutely there's no reason why he would send up flares.
yeah. Also, the classic trope, the computer was unplugged, and like that works somehow. Also, a floppy disk, 1.44 megabytes. Uh,
Yeah.
the
Um,
hiding the hiding spot for the floppy disk, which I think is a roach catcher. Um, Definitely a correspondence effect, entropy effect,
yes.
something like he's not doing it on purpose. He just it's an instinctual effect. They can't find that disk. Uh,
So they're just about to meet Lord Nikon here. I think Lord Nikon might actually be two or three in a ret. Um, like he seems because he's older.
oh,
He seems
interesting.
like he's actually been part of the digital web longer, but he's not like a leadership type. He's a very supportive character type kind of thing, and just being cool and independent. So he's I don't see him as like the leader of the group, but I see him as one of the more powerful mages. Mainly because of his age. So and that could be completely looking at it wrong. Because I actually don't know what his age is. They never
Yeah,
say, but he's the only one that owns his own fucking place, and
yeah. I
it's
mean,
pretty fucking rad.
he's definitely he's not 18 like the rest of them. Also, if you notice right now, Joey's being taken by in that clip. That's right
Yeah.
when Joey. So there's a little bit of time magic there. Um,
Yep. They all missed
Also,
their
I would say
awareness
this is a
rolls.
small chantry.
The Nikon's
Yes.
place itself
Uh,
is a chantry.
yeah. Maybe not even a node. Uh,
Yeah.
Jolt Cola, Tass.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They
Yeah.
might. But yeah, now these
Okay.
guys are
Uh,
interesting. These guys are definitely like fully inside of the virtual adepts. These are the true virtual adepts comparatively to anybody else in the movie, I think, because they're just deeply involved
are
in all
they?
of this. They make their own TV show. They're a crazy, weird thing that apparently they hack into
Yeah, and I'm gonna
stations.
say that they are inside the digital web when they do that show. Uh,
Ooh,
but
yeah.
alternate theory, Razor and Blaze are a bifurcated being, either a mage who split his body in two, but retains one mind, or some sort of manifested spirit of duality.
Ooh, interesting.
And I think we saw Joey's butt there.
Yeah, we just got to see Joey's butt. His computer's being hauled off into a truck right now. It's a very sad day for Joey. Um, I like how this guy is like the head of like dealing. See, he says he's worked with the president, for the president. Why is the Secret Service? So it's got to be the
Uh,
NWO is like. So this is bringing in of the NWO by the syndicate. The syndicate couldn't do what they all needed to do. They needed more power that the NWO has, and pulled in the NWO in order to assist in this. And I like to think of
yeah,
it as, this is a nefandous syndicate doing stuff, and these NWO agents, all these guys, none of these guys are bad guys. They're all just
yeah.
NWO guys. They're not nefandi or corrupted. They're
Oh
just
yeah, the
doing their
agents are
job.
just at most Fomori. I have it written down here. Gil must have said out loud that he's former Secret Service. This came out in '95. He said he was Secret Service 10 years ago, so he was most likely Secret Service under Reagan. Uh,
Yeah, he said he
which
worked for a
just,
former president, and he doesn't want to end out his career, not understanding what the fuck is going on. Um,
Yeah.
And so this is where
All right.
Mr. the Plague, reveals there's this crazy virus that's going on, and then he's bitching about the god,
Yeah.
and he
Also,
looks right at her.
some great Coca-Cola product placement as well.
Oh yeah, there's Cokes
There
all over.
there's actually
Are we getting paid by Coke to point out our
there's
Coke
also
placement? We should call them up.
I don't drink Coke.
I'm getting money. We
Um,
don't need to drink the product.
there there's an interesting thing that's kind of a thing about the plague. He's constantly eating candy. I don't know what that implies. Maybe a focus. Uh, Maybe that's where he hides his tasks. But anyway, here's the Da Vinci virus. Uh, what are you going to say for spheres?
So
I'm going to put
this is
correspondence 5.
well, I'm not gonna say 5. I'm gonna say this is something around like 3 or 4 inside of the digital web, even kind of action, because but it is unrealistic. These ships shouldn't be fully automated and can't be stopped, and like it's overriding the manual override. Basically, there's got to be manual overrides on these things. Also, they can't
Coke.
have a constant connection to they like even satellites weren't being used. Like they would have to be using some there was capabilities but not constant connection between the two. So there's definitely some
Now,
correspondence effect that's happening that he's putting into effect here.
so I definitely agree with you that the manual override was bullshit. But he is a mage theoretically. He might have just done a mind effect on the CEO to be like, no, you can't do that. Also,
I would
the Da
agree
Vinci
that
virus, also an actual spirit.
yes, absolutely. Um, yep,
So,
these
so I'm
are
going to
like
say correspondence
corrupted spirits.
for mind 3, prime 3, spirit 3, maybe 4, and then time 1 for, some stuff. Also, it's 1995, and they're only stealing $25 million.
Yeah. Not that much money.
Wait,
But they are
wait,
the
here it
syndicate,
comes.
though.
Here it
So
comes. Wait for this. What is this? Just a random person walking by. They interact with them not at all, and he just grabs papers from her and says, I'll take care of this. They don't tell you what it is. That's some entropy time shit.
yep. Oh yeah, that's definitely some. I think in the movie it was meant to be a power display. But it's an interesting like I think that there's more to that. That's even possibly intertwined into like what he's doing on a bigger picture in the mage world because they don't really go into what this 25 million is for, why he's doing what he's doing. And I also think that he planned all along to tip these tankers over. The original plan was going to be to tip these tankers over because it's all part of the worm's, plan to destroy a whole bunch of ships.
Yeah.
So
And I would
this
like to point out that one of the agents in the background has a power glove on for no reason.
I think that's Jimmy's power
Well, yeah. Oh,
glove.
maybe
But
that's a focus that Jimmy would use.
oh yeah, that's definitely a focus that Jimmy has, I would bet. Yeah, this is so they're back to the cars here. The two guys are talking about it. And I like how the one of them is, it's kind of how the I see the world or the NWO and a lot of them are like, "Oh, this is kind of cool." He's like he's going through the manifesto. I am a hacker and this is my manifesto. And then the guy's like what does he say here? Says
You can
something.
stop me, but you can't stop us
Now
all.
that's cool, he says. You think it's cool? He's like, it's all Tommy bullshit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was basically a freedom of information manifesto that they were putting out there. Is really good actually. And I don't know, I kind of as I get older, I'm a little bit less with the complete freedom of information um, But it,
Oh yeah, I mean that's the paradigm shift from the '90s to now. So there was kind of a throwaway line here that I'm not sure if I wrote it down, but Dade asks about serial killer, what's his deal, and Freak says his parents missed Woodstock and he's been paying for it ever since.
yeah,
Woodstock, I believe, happened in 1969. If he is 20 years old, he was born in 85. Or sorry, not 85, 75. So I'm not sure what that means. Also, okay, the VR game, those did exist a little bit.
yes, they did. Yes, VR was something in the 80s and 90s that tried to get really off the ground, but just the refresh rate and the resolution just was not good enough. It gave you headaches and shit.
Oh. And he says, ugh, hard copy.
Yeah.
I love that. All right, so this is just straight up harassment from corporations.
Yeah, this is like a combination of like it's interesting how strongly the Secret Service is letting, besides the fact that he's a Nefandi, they're just letting the Plague, which he probably still calls himself the Plague in front of all of these people. Like,
Oh yeah, no, it's like the classic Batman trope. He doesn't think of himself as uh his real name. He thinks of himself as the Plague.
yeah, I love that part where he's like,
Is a bit also little snake on his lapel there, a little
oh,
wormy.
yeah. So maybe he's in league with followers of Set as well. Interesting. But yeah, I like how
Ugh.
the Secret Service is just like letting him run this investigation for the most part. And it's because he's the computer quote unquote expert. And apparently nobody in the Secret Service, even though they're dealing with computer crime, is even the geeky guy who thinks that, you know, the hackers are cool. He doesn't seem to have any knowledge of how computers work at all. Like none of them seem to be able to do anything. It's all up to this one dude.
Oh yeah, no, it's they are mundanes interacting with awakened mages. They cannot handle it.
Yep. Yeah, and I would say that even though that they are mundane, I would say that they're still part of the NW. But they are the mundanes part, you know, maybe even enhanced humans to a certain degree that would you could do magic in front of or advanced science in front of, and they wouldn't freak out, but they wouldn't understand how the fuck to do it.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like void engineers don't have to be awakened to use laser guns because it's a different paradigm. Um,
Right, yep. So he does go into so this is where he tries to like make an alliance with him. And this is an interesting kind of interaction that kind of happens where he gets rejected and just flips out, like physically flips out. Like, what the fuck? And this is,
yeah,
I
see, I
think this
think
is a
that was
mind
just
effect.
to get a lower difficulty. Yeah, maybe just to get a lower difficulty on an intimidation roll,
Yeah, I think that, yeah, I think it was also, yeah,
possibly even mundane.
it could be mundane, but I also think you could turn it into a mind effect as well. And I think this guy is a mind mage more than anything. Even though he's, you know,
Yeah.
got correspondence and is good at tech stuff, I think he's way more into manipulating people and fucking with people's minds.
Oh yeah, very high manipulation score. All right, so I believe we're about to have a little dream sequence. Sorry to spoil it for people that are watching along. This is going to be a dream sequence, but I just want to point out before it happens that we're going to see a flash of a titty.
that
Here it
you're
comes.
oh wow. Yeah, they
It was just,
I never
it was
seen
very
that
short.
before. Now that you pointed out though, it's very obvious.
Yeah, I have changed reality through my powers. I willed that titty to be there.
Is this a
But yeah, so
rated R
dream sequence.
movie? I don't think this is a rated R movie.
No, it's PG-13. No, you could flash titties a little bit in the '90s and still be PG-13. which is weird, right?
Yeah.
Um,
So I don't think this is a chantry. Although this, if it is though, it might be like I don't know how,
it's
if her
it's your
mother. I don't think her mother is a virtual adept. I think her mother might be a cult of ecstasy.
uh yeah, Cult of Ecstasy. Geez, I can't think of all the traditions right now, but yeah, I would say her mother. What's the mind one? Who does mind?
Mind magic is done by the Akashic Brotherhood, so
Mm, maybe life.
life would
Uh
be Verbana.
oh yeah,
Well, Verbana
yeah. I
maybe
could see a
like a
verbena.
new age Verbana. Yeah.
Or it is pointed out that her mother is in like radical feminist. So maybe a follower of Lilith somehow.
Oh, that's even more interesting.
Yeah. All right. So this is where they point out that Lord Nikon has photographic memory. That's literally just the eidetic memory merit. Slap it
Yes,
onto his character
but it
sheet.
could be mind magic as well because level two, I think, in mind magic lets you get Etic memory at your choice, which is why it could be something that he churns on and off. But he does say it's a curse, so I'm guessing that it's always on for him and that it is a merit for him because it seems like he's not using magic to make it his life easier. It's just something that is always around. It's a blessing and a curse for him.
Yeah. All right. So this weird little scene that they pushed in here is all about how Joey is definitely an addict. I'm gonna say he's got a little bit of that worm that he downloaded attached to his spirit.
He does seem a little bit fucked up right now. And w- my question is there was there computer addict things like that that
Uh,
I wonder if that is real or not. That's interesting.
yeah, in the '90s there was a computer addict kind of thing. Now we're just all computer addicts, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Um,
So this computer is just is a brand new they're talking about the Pentium Pro probably when they say Pentium 6. Um
the
and
P6,
the
it's 3
P6,
times faster than the Pentium,
right. And so it's the Pentium Pro that
which
they're
apparently has RISC architecture, which I'm pretty sure.
I think
Yeah,
that was made
they
up.
definitely made a bunch of shit up.
Well,
All
they
right, so she's
manipulated
making out
some
with the
stuff.
ghoul.
Yeah. Well, this is interesting because I like how they I think that all of these guys have a little bit of arcane. That they all and this is like a showing you that a little bit here that they can kind of go unnoticed and it goes into all the social engineering stuff that they get to do later on too. But this is the beginning
Yeah,
of like when they don't want to be noticed, like people just don't fucking notice them.
yeah, and in fact, in a few seconds, she, it's revealed, didn't even notice that Dade was one of them. Uh,
Right.
that'll
Yeah.
happen in a second.
Even though he broke it, it's kind of like he went back into. Although she is obsessed right now with the screen, but it's he kind of just kind of fades.
Yeah.
She doesn't notice him until like where is it? There when he
Yeah.
reveals himself again.
Yeah. Maybe Arcane 3, 2 or
Oh,
3.
I almost would say he's at Arcane like 5 because he has to hide all of his you know who he actually is as well. Well, I don't think it's a
Isn't
justification.
isn't Arcane 5 where people like forget you exist?
Yeah, no, you're right. If yeah, so yeah, it would be a 2 or 3. Yeah, that you would have, and then he does kind of show that he can kind of fade out a little bit, but um, I also think that
Yeah.
that's more of a physical thing with him, not a because people remember him as Zero Cool and stuff.
Oh, so maybe his new identity, like he has a bifurcated identity and they have separate arcane ratings. I'm not sure how the hell you would do that in a game. Uh, okay, so this is the plague basically saying I hacked, which is a spheres.
The FBI database and switched his mother with somebody else. Some
Well,
criminal.
this is just the part where he hacks it. The thing you're referring to happens a little bit later.
Well, he explains
Um,
it to her what he's doing. He explained to her,
yeah, all
and
right.
he was in the process of so that he could get the boy, and get the boy, then get the
Yeah,
copies.
he specifically says, "Get the mother, get the boy," which proves his willingness to harm people to get what he wants, which is my personal definition of evil. So definitely worm corrupted, kind of. And it's the '90s, so we have to have this part.
A little love scene here. Although this is like an
Oh,
interesting love scene because it's like she's off on the balcony, but he's like at the computer being like, "Ah, da, 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 da. I don't give a fuck about her." And I'm just looking.
yeah. All right, so they're about to do an interesting thing where they project what's on the screen onto their faces, which for virtual adepts, yeah, perfectly reasonable.
Yeah. Yep. Well, yeah.
It's
This
also a common
happens.
thing they did in movies, but
Yeah, it's a in this case, I would say it's like a special screen that she has that helps her, dig into the virtual the digital web without having um gear on. But it's the very light
oh,
interaction that you have, the first level of interaction. We have all the negatives.
yeah.
Risk is good, he
All right,
says.
this kid. All right, so they are about to have a challenge. Uh, it took me a while to find it. Do you remember Sertaman
Certamen.
or Kurtaman? Mage battle
Oh yeah, yeah.
or mage dueling?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to say that the upcoming montage of them fighting each other is Sertaman. And while they do it, they level up. Maybe one in a ret and a couple of spheres. They've got some XP to spend.
Yeah, I would say that's possible that they level up, but it the battle itself is much bigger than what we see, I think, though, because it shows at a certain point they're going to show us 60 to 60, which means that there's 60 hacks
Yeah,
that they did each on this dude. That's insane.
yeah.
Like, this guy's life is fucked. Like, we only get to see a small percentage
Spray
from what
painting
they're
his
doing.
keyboard.
That's a
Spray
roach,
painting his
or
keyboard makes it
he's
faster.
yep. Yep. Red makes it faster. It's not red, but he made it army colors because he battled himself up.
I do not
And
know why he's drawing floppy disks like they're guns, but
that's because he's a
I mean,
virtual
yeah, it's very
adept.
true.
It is. These are different programs that he has that he's building them up even more with, that's that's his whole process. So he probably like because like I said too, he's also a TV person. So he's probably in a shootout sometimes when he's hacking and stuff like that. So he is like pulling it out of his fucking,
Oh, I just love the way serial killer poses there. Like he's
Serial killers pose, all of their poses is great there. And this is a real
oh
thing. Hooking up your phone to a phone like that, and there's like a little box that you put on, but it's a really shitty ass connection that they would have. So
yeah,
they're
it's
definitely
very
using magic
yeah
to enhance their connection that they have here.
yeah. Also, the cutting up the credit card was a real thing that happened in the '90s. Although I read about this, they would never leave it with you. It was up to the vendor to send it back to the credit card company. Uh, the only magic he's doing here is hacking um, the website that does the personals.
No, no, no.
He could
So
have just posted a personal.
he could have posted his own personal, but I was thinking about this. The reason why he usurped a very popular person's profile. So so
Oh,
the profile
nice.
he changed it up so that it would be, here's my new post. I'm the really popular crazy person on this that everybody calls, and that's the reason why he's got like a million calls coming in. If he would have just put up a new one, it wouldn't have had the replies that this one has. Where
That's
it,
a that's a that's a great thought. Um, Also, on the top of the tower, what a beautiful
dude, the
scene.
music in this is just fucking epic. Like I do love the music
Yeah,
for this. I want to get the rights to play this music when we're playing Technogate.
yeah. Um, so I'm thinking on top of the tower is some sort of correspondence focus that like or maybe they're even in a correspondence realm, just on top of a skyscraper. Uh, like it gives you extra correspondence powers.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe
I
it's
like
even in
that.
the digital web.
Yeah, they might even be in the digital web at that point.
Let's see.
Yeah, I do like how they go all over the place. It's like different places and they're and it's out he's always like trying to look serious. Serial killers. It's
Yeah.
just got the coat on
Oh,
just over the shoulders.
so so to go back to my discussion about resonance. So right now, they're basically chucking spells at each other. It's all of the all of the bad shit is happening to Gil. They've just killed him online, but he's using his dynamic resonance, and she's using his static. They're kind of starting to overlap. He lost a dynamic and gained a static, and vice versa for her. Like because the whole point of that montage was them leveling up and growing, but also starting to become partners.
Yep. Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like all the bad stuff's happening to him, but it's really them slinging spells at each other.
yeah. Which so them intertwining is the representation of their fate lines being intertwined. I love this one.
And this is
Uh,
where she has her dream.
yeah. And so these dream sequences, I think I've mentioned before, I think they're a kind of retroactive uh, spirit time entropy effect that's kind of pushing them to do certain things.
Yeah, I would say this
So I
is like
like
a
that
little bit of
you know,
destiny
it's
inside
her
of them.
dream. Yeah. Um,
I like how she already picked out the dress. She's like, oh, after that dream.
Picked
I
up the
know.
dress that was just in her locker all the time.
Yeah.
Uh, um,
So this is, I think, where he says NWO. Either that or else we already missed it. It's when he came into the bedroom, or it's this right here. But I think it's this right here where he says NWO. So he sent him a laptop. And this laptop is killer looking. Like it's
yeah, which is
all
obviously
see-through and so he's like, you want to know who I am, Zero
yeah. This is
Cool? Well, let me explain the new world order. Governments and corporations need people like you and me. And so he goes into like talking about how they're like the keyboard cowboys and stuff like that. But I think that opening right there is just beautiful for a world of darkness. Like obviously he's part of the NWO, or at least introducing him to what the technocracy is, and the NWO is the one thing that everybody knows type thing.
yeah. Now I don't have a handle on exactly what it is, but this is a wonder with a rat. This is a device that he was sent by the plague. It's some sort of Trojan horse. I don't have a good handle on exactly what it is.
Yeah, it does. It feels like it should
Um,
have been used later on in order to like get a leg up on them at one point, where he's like, oh, it's such a badass like powerful machine that it, and I think it's one of the things that should have hurt them when they were fighting, and it's why Joey had to go for it and not him, but they like took it out at the very end. It was like, oh, why would he use that laptop? We'll just have him throw it away because he
okay,
doesn't
so I
use
never
it.
noticed it until just now. He hid the disc in a cigarette carton box.
And then he was
So I was
smoking
wrong earlier.
cigarettes.
It's his focus, right?
Yeah.
It's his magical focus. So that's probably a little correspondence realm in there. They probably looked in that cigarette box and didn't find the disc.
I do like how
Let's
there's
see.
obviously Nikon, or wait a minute. Is that Nikon? Is the name of the
I think it
camera?
was actually, yeah.
So is that Lord Nikon is another product placement? I really like
Possibly.
that. I do like the little
All
code
right,
that
so we just saw.
Oh, real quick too, going real
Uh,
back to the when he got the laptop. I think that message was a live message, not a recording in the Mage world,
oh,
and that Date actually
yeah,
was able to interact with it in the Mage world. But it happened off screen with the interaction.
yeah. All right, so now we're seeing Fearless Freak rip up all his stuff
Having a
and wait for it.
premonition. Yep.
Yeah, but I think I wrote this down. The dreams are prophetic, but not helpful.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, it's like it's
Uh,
because they're beginning mages, you know. It's like
yeah,
they're not, you know, they're if this was like the Matrix kind of version, like he would have like that would premonition would have helped him get ready to fight all of these guys. But no, they're just beginning level mages, and he's like literally like, get me away from my mother. She's more dangerous than you guys to me. Like,
I do kind of dislike how they show like everybody in jail is just waiting for people to grab through the bars. Like, what the hell?
the depiction.
Also, they let him keep his tape recorder. Or wait, no, he doesn't use the tape recorder this time. I
No,
always
yep.
forget that.
So this is an interesting one too.
So this would
Would
be a
work.
mind effect that he does.
Well, this is actually another thing I think would work as well. I'm not 100% if hitting that thing multiple times. So it could be a correspondence effect just to get him to an operator. It could be a mind effect, like you said, but I think just a simple correspondence effect would show that. But he could be telepathically talking to her with mind,
All right,
but he's using a phone. And
I love this line.
which one?
It's right at the end here. Here it comes.
In
It's in
that
that place where I put that thing that time.
Yeah.
Mind effect. Although it's, I mean, literally. And then it's this. It's behind the condom dispenser in the boys' bathroom. And Libby just goes in and gets it.
I like how she like just turns around and like all these guys are. What are all these guys just hanging out in the fucking? Did anybody
Well, it's the
hang out
90s.
in the
They're,
bathroom when you were in school? Like when I was in
I never went
school,
in the bathroom.
you never went into the bathroom in a public school? Wow.
I'm doing a World of Darkness movie podcast. I'm a weird person, and I always have been.
Okay, yeah, no, that's cool. Learn something new today.
Okay. Here's an interesting thing that I'm not sure you've noticed. Serial killer never touches a computer.
Up to the point where they're doing the one hack.
Pretty
At
sure
the
he still
very
doesn't.
end, he's a hacker. He goes, he
I'm-
participates in the hack. I'm pretty sure. We'll find out. But you are right.
We'll find out.
He is much more. He might be a void engineer, actually, or not void engineer, or a son of Ether, because he is the one that goes around and installs all the devices. He makes all these weird devices. He's all about music and stuff. He could also be Cult of Ecstasy, with a little bit of techno involved in him. But he does know a lot
I think
about
there
computers,
is a.
so it is interesting though
I think
that you
there's an
point that
alternate
out.
theory. I'll just throw it out here right now. I think he is a manifested spirit.
Oh, really? So you think he's dead?
Well, no, I think he is a spirit that is an aspect of the one, the so-called, spirit of everything. I think he manifested as this this creature and is just wandering the world. Specifically because later on in that one scene, he refers to feeling like God.
I think you're stretching it a
But
little
being a
bit
mage, also, yeah.
I do find it interesting, but he is the one who's like carrying all those fucking Bible books or all the books and shit. So he definitely knew his shit, and everybody thinks it's how it
Okay.
says that he's elite. So it's
Well,
so weird that you don't see him.
I'll explain the full theory at the end. Um, okay, so this is where he uh, does the full hack and says, "This is what I'm going to do to your mother." Um,
Yeah, he's already done it. He's showing it now. So he does. So he's using it right here. I'm pretty sure at the end he is using his personal PC and not the new one, but I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that. God, that computer is
yeah,
ridiculous though.
it looks like it's on a CRT monitor and not the laptop flat screen in Dade's room, but
Well, no, it's got
honestly,
like
this is moving too fast.
when it shows it again here, you should see it, if they do, the back of the screen is see-through and you could see what was on the other side of the screen. It was really see look, it's definitely a laptop screen, but it's it's really weird looking. Way I don't know how they made that. See, it's got like this weird
Oh yeah.
like screen in the back. I don't know. I just
Um,
never thought of seeing it that way.
Anyway, to go back real quick, the disk that has the partial file on it, I think, has resonance that can be seen, and planting it in the men's bathroom because it has it's got some sort of worm tainted resonance, and for some reason a bathroom masks it. And Kate in the boys' bathroom, one of her foci is sexual domination over men. And so she was doing a mind effect to like keep them all enthralled.
Yeah,
I just got to go back on my notes here because
that's pretty good. I do want to say this is one of the coolest fucking entrances I have ever seen. Ever, I think. This is just where he rolls up on with a limo and he's on his skateboard and he's hanging off the side of the limo. Or is it just a car?
yeah, it is a limo, I think. But the question is, what is the reason he's doing it? If it is a magical focus of some sort, what is the effect? I don't know.
This is a correspondence effect. Like he probably uses skateboard to get everywhere, but he has a limo that like comes by and keeps him going. But the correspondence effect is basically making it so he doesn't trip up or ever, like look at this. He would have had to do all these jumps and stuff like that. You didn't see him do any jumps. He just rolled on by.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah, maybe it's a forces effect. Maybe he's hovering a little bit.
ooh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. Also, there is the juxtaposition of the young hackers are all rollerbladers, and the old bad guy is a skateboarder. I don't know. I'm not sure about the connections there.
That is an interesting connection, though. Maybe in this world of darkness, that's how they distinguish themselves between generations. Because he did seem like he was a virtual adept that maybe went over to the Syndicate at some point after he got
Yeah.
corrupted.
So let me throw this out there. At the end of that scene, when he disappears on the skateboard and Dade runs after him, the plague disappears into a plume of mist. Here's a weird theory. He's an unseelie from the
Oh,
changeling mythos.
yeah.
Probably some sort of unseelie prince. Later in the movie, he references there are only two states of being: fun and, or I can't remember exactly what it is, but fun and boring. And he's like, I don't want to do boring. And that's just like so in line with the
Absolutely.
Unseelie.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
All right. So I wrote down some stuff here. Ritual casting.
Oh yeah.
Dade has entered into a ritual cast. Correspondence, entropy, spirit, mind, time, the foci, coffee, paper printouts. The others are helping. And at the end of the entire ritual, it's counted as a seeking. They all get in a ret.
Yeah, this visual here is just pretty epic. Like,
I mean, classic '90s montage.
I don't know. I,
Let's
yeah,
see.
I
So,
think this is really well done, even for its time, even today's
yeah.
standards. Montages.
So serial killer. One of his foci are quotes. Anita's mind and spirit. Kate, static resonance. Correspondence to balance Dade's dynamic resonance. Nikon is entropy, mind, time to help put the pieces together. And the effect of the spell is they have now named the spirit, the worm, and they have gained power over the spirit now.
Well, and this is okay. So they keep on calling it a worm, right? All my data and everything that they're
Yes.
talking about here, this is not a worm, but they are correctly calling it the worm. This is once again, this is a World of Darkness movie, and it didn't even know.
Yeah.
Like I feel like somebody played
absolutely.
Mage the Ascension, played Virtual Adepts, and then somehow talked to some, like somehow that's how I mean, it's completely wrong, I'm sure, but it just feels like somebody like was like,
it's
I'm gonna put some like little things in here because I play Mage. These are Virtual Adepts.
it's one of those things where one didn't follow from the other. It's all a circle. Some elements of this might have come from Mage. Some elements of Mage might have come from the same things that this was based off of.
Well,
Like
yeah, the
it's
NWO
all
one is
a
a big
big
one.
giant
That's
pile.
part of the big circle. The only one there is the worm thing, is where I'm like, that's the World of Darkness. Really, is the only one that would, call something like that
Yeah.
the worm. But yeah, this is
All right. So now his identity has been revealed.
right.
His true identity. So in my theory, some of the difficulties that he put on himself by rejecting his identity have been removed.
Interesting. So you think that there's like a mental component that he held himself back even to not be the mess with the, when he lost to her the first time, it was more because he was holding himself back for not being zero cool. Although I also attribute that to it's been forever since he touched a computer, and he was still able to like almost match her in like days worth of learning.
In the beginning, his mother does say, "You hooked it up to the phones, didn't you?" And in the scene where he names all the books, I get the impression that his mother let him use computers, which was against technically the law, but he never hooked it up to the web.
No,
So
I
like
say
he almost
my argument with that is his typing. You see that in the very beginning, he is pecking at the keyboard when he is fighting with her, and he is now a master of the keyboard
interesting.
within days, basically. Because this spans
I
like
did
a
not notice
week,
that.
basically, and he just got a hold of a computer like days before because he just became 18. So the night of his fight might have been the night that he got to touch a computer. But she does say he's been playing for days, so it's at least a couple of days that they'd been moved in. But yeah. So what they're
All
doing
right, so
here,
I'm gonna say the flare gun.
yeah, that's
Go
a
ahead.
forces. I would say that's. I mean, that's a flare gun, but it's also possibly just a forces effect that she did there too.
Yeah.
Um, so what they did though with the dumpster diving, that is something they shouldn't have been able to get up that many codes, but that's kind of a wholly real social engineering thing that could happen. Dumpster diving for shit is believe me, people are stupid. They write down their password and username on the weirdest of shit. What they're kind of showing that they got like all these papers seems a little bit weird. Now, what he's doing here, going around, obviously not a repairman. That's this kid running around. He is using a ret in order to pull off that shit. He's and correspondence
Yeah.
and mind effects. And this he's also using mind and correspondence and arcane to make it so that people don't notice him. And that's where he almost gets caught.
Yeah, that's that the plague notices him. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but the plague slaps a woman's ass, and I think it's the same woman that he grabbed that paper from. I still don't know what it means.
Means he's a piece of shit.
Yeah,
Womanizing
he is a piece of
asshole.
shit. Yeah, so this is definitely the part where you get the impression he wanted to release that virus the whole time.
Yeah, this was all part. I
It's
mean, obviously, I mean, not obviously, but it's very likely he didn't build that program in a day, which is what he made it seem like. This was always been the plan, was to cause an environmental disaster. 25 million was not the payoff. That was her payoff, basically, to get her involved in it. But he's truthfully working for and this is probably a Pentex facility that's allowing this to that this is all supposed to happen if it wasn't for those pesky virtual adepts.
yeah. All right, I think I might have already said it, but the Da Vinci virus has a spiritual component, like it exists as a spirit on the digital web. Um,
Wait,
and
so he
yeah, so
just
he's
said
just
5
released
million.
it.
Was it 50 million or 5 million?
The worm stole 25 million.
Oh,
The Da
yes.
Vinci virus
Demands
ransomed the
5.
boats for 5
5.
million.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Old recording equipment. No idea. Like
This is a correspondence
what?
effect that they're
What?
doing here. Like, this is totally just, that's their foci. That's exactly what a foci is in the world of darkness. And that is
Actually,
exactly.
that might be an item with a ret and a ret roll of its own. Like an old virtual adept built it. Oh wait, here it comes. The freaks in the subway,
Yep.
all on rollerblades doing weird flips and shit. Oh man,
That's an
I just
awesome.
love to point out weird shit like that because that's the World of Darkness aesthetic,
Yep.
right? If you went to New York City in 1995,
You
it's all
notice.
flickering lights and freaks.
Yep, and the train's all fucked up and not as bad as what it was in the 80s. But like everybody that's like, there's a dude sleeping, there's a dude in a suit, there's all these different people. And notice they're like, like shouting what they're talking about here. Like they're openly. That's because they're using. And once again, I want to point this out that they're
Oh yeah,
using Arret or not Arret, Arcane here in order to hide themselves, which is why they're able to do all this stuff in the open. Why
oh yeah.
Freak was able to get, or why Serial Killer was able to get around. Why Nikon was able to get into the building and stuff like that, looking crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so two things here. First, Nikon said that his head was starting to hurt, so they're running out of willpower at this point. I also want to point out there are colored pieces of paper, like regular sized computer paper, and they have weird sayings on them. Here's one. Information is, I think it's information is penetration. There it is. And then there's
Speed
no
of
speed
light,
limit
or yeah,
on the info highway.
yep. Hope.
I didn't really notice it before. Those are all over the movie.
Yeah, so yeah, they're kind of like hidden messages all throughout the movie that and that's, posted up information and stuff to try and recruit and get people to become virtual adepts basically. So this club here,
Oh yeah,
I think
that's a good idea.
I think this is the main chantry of like that is not a virtual adept chantry. This is just a chantry that is like multiple. So I think Cult of Ecstasy is here on top of virtual adepts is what we're kind of seeing here. We don't, the only reason why I say that is because just
Yeah.
how much massive, crazy partying is going on. Looks like there might even be some vampires in the the group there. But yeah, this is just like some
Yeah, this
crazy
might be like
super
some sort of
chantry.
like neutral ground, possibly.
Well, like a chantry for the
Also, one of the
traditional
only
ways.
yeah, one of the only books that has New York stuff is Rage Across New York. And in the Manhattan section, I'll just read one sentence. The New York club scene where Hamids go to revel in their humanity and celebrate their community is likewise infiltrated by minions of the worm who seek to transform joy into depravity and misery. So yeah, there's definitely probably some werewolves in here too, or kinfolk. Most likely glasswalkers.
And bone gnars.
Oh yeah, lots of Bonars in this movie. They're all in the background.
They're all in the background, not really doing much. There's some glass walkers involved, though, I think here. But yeah, it could be though that this is also just these guys' hangout here. Is that they own a bar or something like that, like a warehouse that throws parties and stuff like
Yeah,
that. So doesn't have to be. There's
yeah.
nothing in here
See,
that shows that
see, I
drugs
don't know
help them at all.
exactly.
So I don't think anybody's necessarily called to back.
Yeah, one of the rare non sequiturs in this movie that make no sense. They were trying to follow Razor and Blade and lost them, and then they just magically showed up here, which I'm going to say inside the digital web, some sort of umbral space.
Oh, so you're saying that they jumped in, the way to get to him is that they went back, jumped into the digital web, and now they're currently inside of the
Uh,
digital web.
yeah, it's a hard one. If you watch back at it, it's the transition is kind of jarring. Also, the gun on a articulating arm uh, just smacks of Sons of Ether.
Well, it also it I going back to it being in the digital web, it's the reason why they didn't freak out really about the gun. Like he kind of reacted to the gun, but
Mm,
he didn't like react like a kid who's never probably had a gun pointed at him before would react.
yeah. So I think I mentioned it earlier. Razor and Blade being some sort of dualized uh, being.
Yep.
I don't know what you think about that.
I mean, I think they still make sense as because they were physically, in the if we'd only ever seen them in the digital web, then you could make an argument that you might have only ever seen them in the digital web. Then I would be more into that concept with them. But having if we're going with the idea that there was a transition there into the digital web, then we'd seen them in the physical realm. This is another like
Yeah,
visualization like technique that he is doing here. This is an
yeah. All right.
interesting hack.
So,
Correspondence and time definitely involved here.
oh, the traffic light hack.
The traffic light hack. Yep. So they're on the move now.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that that is part of a larger entropy effect, right? That Gil and the NWO can't get through, but the hackers on their rollerblades can get through it.
Interesting. So yeah, I would say I would still want to have a little bit of time and a little bit of data just because of the way that they're kind of doing it. But yeah, I can see this be mainly an entropy effect. This is a cool little visualization of some crazy hacking that I don't know if this is at all either possible as well. But
Yeah, and so now just like um the sprinkler, the sprinkler system attack, he just caused massive amounts of damage,
oh yeah, yeah, like oh yeah,
which he
with that
should go to
sprinkle,
jail for.
the sprinkler damage. But the thing is that that's one of the concepts of these we're the good guys, and even you see it in superhero movies and shows and stuff like that all too. the massive amount of damage that happens is all in the greater good, and it's like money is not as important as human life or the environment's life,
Yeah.
you know. But it's possible they might have caused more than $25 million worth of damage, throughout this movie.
Yeah. All right. So here's my question to you, and then I have an answer. Why do they use Grand Central Station? Because they don't refer to it as for any reason in the plot.
I would say that they're using Grand Central Station at this point, because it's probably, um, I would want to say like a node or something like that, but actually I would just say it's because it's a public area for them to manipulate, things with mind magic and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
So I'm gonna say somehow it's a Glasswalker cairn, and the totem spirit of the cairn is like a correspondence spirit, so highly aligned with virtual adepts. And the nature of the space and the paradigm allows even young virtual adepts to pull quintessence directly out of the air and use it for fast casting.
So where are you getting that Central Station would be owned by the werewolves though? Because I thought that they only owned, um, the Central Park.
Yeah, it's supposed to be only Central Park. Yeah. Well, I'm just saying if I was going to run
It's
this as a game,
possible.
that's
Yeah,
how I would explain it.
I could see. I could see that. That's not a bad explanation for sure.
I mean, it doesn't have to be associated with werewolves. I mean, Grand Central Station there's massive transportation spirit that lives there, pretty
yeah.
obviously.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
All right, so this is
Was.
another beautiful montage of sphere magic being thrown around in the digital web.
Type cookie, idiot. The most. This is completely ridiculous what's going on here, but it's a beautiful visualization and how I would try. And if you were doing a hack and an attack on on a like a massive system, the Gibson, and you had all these people working together, this is how I'd want you to visualize it in a game, more than what being realistic at all. But yeah, this is off the fucking walls crazy, like the concept of what they're doing.
Yeah, there are basically the avatars are doing battle at the
He's got
behest
that
of all these
headset on.
different
That fucking
mages.
headset is because he's in the digital web right now, and this is all in the digital web.
Yeah.
And we're not even we're
go
just
back.
Like a quick view because they didn't have the time to show us all what's really happening here.
Oh yeah. Just to go back real quick, Serial Killer was about to hack, but they replaced him with Joey, and they told Serial Killer to go fix the phones.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure exactly what that was. I think he was supposed to be hooking up the thing that we see in a minute here.
Right, where they switch up the phones.
The decoy.
Yep. So yeah, I like how he's just we are, you asshole, and then everybody fucking comes in because it's just the kids right now, and then they recruit all of the virtual adepts, and this is a massive virtual adept attack that happens right here.
In the background of Kate Libby just there, it was there was another one of those sheets of paper. Trust your technology? I can't remember. Or trust your technolust. That's what it was. All right, so Dade says to him, but we can. Whereas previously he kept saying to him, I don't play well with others. That's him gaining either another sphere or another willpower. That's him spending experience and getting some sort of massive boost.
Yeah, I definitely think that's like a big change up in his character, and it's even possible that he went from being like a loner to being something else as his nature, maybe like caregiver or something like that.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. A nature demeanor shift. Or possibly gaining back a massive amount of willpower.
Right, I would say in that tradition transition that could be like where he gets all this like willpower to go forward. The Colonel who cancer brain. I like how at the end of this though, like everybody's all pissed off, but like the like so all they needed to do is just shut down the system in order to stop this takers from falling over. uh,
Yeah.
it just is it's an interesting way of like they attacked the system so hard they crashed it. But apparently that would have been and this goes back to the nefandious asshole hiding this from everybody that you know you could just crash the system in order to get it back. And I would also say that normally crashing the system probably wouldn't have got those tankers to come back, but the way that they're magically doing this, it's allowing for it to fix the problem instead of, you know, make the problem worse.
Yeah. All right. So the thing that's happening on Dade's screen right now, I'm taking that to go like he has now entered the digital web with his higher level skills that he just got, higher level spheres. Um, but but Plague is able to counterspell it right here, for some reason. So this would be a lot of like extended sphere rolls.
So is Dade using his computer or is Dade using that dude's computer? Because this is where I think this is why he was able to capture Dade,
Oh,
is if Dade's using his computer. But it looks like he's not using the see-through. Root slash period slash not, why are there periods? Uh, it's
yeah.
such a beautiful movie. But yeah, those
All right. Yeah.
devices that
So
they
they
have
were.
hooked up there that you can now really that's they've been using that throughout the
Yeah.
entire movie,
I don't
and
know
those are
why
real.
they didn't unhook them.
Oh, why they didn't just go up and unhook them right there?
Yeah. I'm thinking an entropy effect. Uh,
Well, I also think that
but
unhooking them wouldn't have done anything. That was just the you would just be unhooking the decoys. Then they would still have their connection at wherever they're at.
yeah. All right. Now, so that's Joey becoming uh
Becoming elite.
probably his second or third
A second, I would say.
elite.
I mean, I wouldn't be boosting them up that much. You don't get a bunch of red all in one day type thing. So, you know, and most of these guys come out of this, you know, with one more red than what they had at the very beginning. Maybe, maybe Jimmy getting up to two, but I would still probably put just him at one. Unless you do play it that you
All right.
have.
So now,
Oh, yep. Go ahead.
yeah. So they've also destroyed Da Vinci, who must have lived in the sector of the Gibson.
Mess with the best.
Classic.
Die.
Mess with the best, die with the rest.
Such a great quote.
They just look around like, what the fuck?
Well, that's
Oh
definitely
yeah,
a
in the background
magical
there,
effect.
trust. Yeah.
Oh, now they just got captured. So the communication that they have with each other, I think that's there's a correspondence and or mind effect when he's like trashing the planet, that he even told him, you know, where to go look and stuff like that, because it doesn't show him like going through like 50 different, you know, he goes to one, finds it right away.
Oh yeah, there's a mind effect. Coincidental. Hack the planet.
Hack the planet. I don't know why he was, besides that he has got Arcane to protect his ass, why he's screaming hack the planet.
Oh, there's a security guard right behind him.
It's obvious that he's got, you know, that this is magic that's happening here. And it's
Yeah.
obviously Arcade that protects his ass. But it is funny, you are right. He never does any hacking.
Yeah,
So
he never touches a computer. When the credits roll, I'll tell you what I think he is. Right now, I already did.
yeah, yep.
Spirit. Uh, all right. So here, Dade tries to take the fall for Kate, protecting her. Uh, Not much magically going on. Although, uh, in a second here, Dade just presses a button to like listen in, which is definitely a magical effect.
Yes, because yeah, this is I don't think that this is the way that it would ever my understanding of how this is set up. That there's no way that you'd be able to hear what's going on in the other room unless they had microphones in the other room designed to pick
Yeah,
up
it's
everything.
like what?
He turns on the intercom.
Yeah, I'm just thinking during a mage game, it's like I want to listen in. It's like okay,
Yeah,
do a ret roll, and you can use that device to listen into it.
you press the button.
Uh,
His mom is fierce though.
oh yeah,
Fierce.
manipulation intimidation roll of maybe what 7 dice.
Yeah, at least. Wow,
Yeah,
she's great. She's
yeah, and Kate's whole paradigm is female domination, and so she's like, oh shit, like this is where this guy comes from. He's part of
yeah.
the same paradigm.
He sees powerful women as powerful. Look at his mother.
Oh,
This is
that's an
awesome.
interesting callback. Another one where, yeah, Joey's in the background on camera.
So this is this hack where they hack every. This has got to be around the world, right? So yeah, it's
Oh yeah,
they show it.
this is
This is like the
a
biggest because
mob of hackers.
this
Yeah,
could
this
be.
is a collective correspondence effect from hundreds of hackers.
Yeah, I mean, and that it's not being the one big thing is it's not being stopped by the NWO or technocracy at this point, that they can't stop it. There's a bunch of fighting that's probably happening right now in the digital web in order to keep this broadcast going.
Oh
This
yeah, absolutely.
this
Just
worm program, it's a worm program. It's definitely not a worm. That's not how a worm goes. But
yeah, I mean this would be like the culmination of an entire virtual adept campaign where like you fight back the paradigm just a little tiny bit.
right, you could almost even stretch this out over months, and it's it's weird to stretch it out because you never see a season change. But they do 60 hacks each on him. It's like that's at least, even if you're doing 3 a day, that's still 20 days worth of hacking. Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know how to work a VCR. They're like, why does she have admin rights? The reason why is that I think she is awakened and that she does have like high level clearance inside of the syndicate, and that's the reason why she had access at that high level. There's no reason why she would have
Oh yeah.
access to any of that shit. Uh, Otherwise, a lot of this they say is that there's a lot of this is possible if the company, which it's very possible too, is just stupid. The company doesn't have any security procedures in place. It is 1999 or 1995, so
Yeah.
there were a lot of
Yeah, the internet was
limitations.
pretty friggin' primitive at that point. Although in theory, all these people had trinary computers. So, well,
Oh yeah, that's the reason why it's 3 times faster than the Pentium. The trinary computer makes it 3 times faster. So.
yeah.
So yeah,
All right.
this is
So I'm not
their.
sure when exactly they get to it. But okay, yeah. She's gonna they're gonna have like a little thing where they both say at the same time, we've been having weird dreams.
Yep. Yeah, that's a linking of
So
the
they both had a
two.
dream.
So also one of the things
Although I,
I'm gonna put out here is that what he's about to do here, he didn't do any hacking. He did all it with his mind right now, and that's
like he didn't use a focus.
that yeah he's showing her that he has like mage level like abilities.
Yeah, crash and burn.
Although this could also just once again be a hack that they a little bit of entropy, maybe time magic, um, correspondence.
I mean, this could be straight forces,
Could just be straight
but yeah,
forces.
most likely correspondence. Yeah.
I mean, if you are virtual adept, you would still need a foci because they are technocrats. So they still do need a foci. I forgot about that. So they
No,
can't just
virtual dips are tradition.
no, they are bound by the technocratic paradigm that they
Oh,
cannot do
yeah, I suppose
stuff
they would need
without.
technological foci.
They do need a technological foci. Now it could be his mind that he's using, but it's really hard to justify that stuff with a technocratic paradigm. The only
Yeah, it gets to a certain point. Higher spheres, though.
Yeah, well, and then there is the Neo aspect of the you believe that you're in the Matrix, and therefore you're allowed a lot more leeway
Mm,
on what you're able to perform in the reality space.
yeah. Also, so here's the callback. They are in a pool on a roof.
Yeah, proving that it is possible to have a pool on a roof, and that it does
Yeah,
happen.
maybe not Olympic size, um, but anyway. So I think I already explained my theory about
Also, they were in the digital
serial
webcam.
killer.
Shows us, then faded out.
Oh yeah. So serial killer in my theory is some sort of manifested spirit who is an aspect of the one, so God, and he refers to it later in the movie where he's like, I feel like God. But I mean, that's kind of a stretch. He is more likely some sort of cult of ecstasy, hollow one, orphan. But maybe he has like a library rating or some sort of entropy effect that's on him. What do you think about that?
I think that he's definitely some kind of weird. It's possible. I would almost say that it is with you pointing him out as being not actually touching a computer at all the entire time, or like he touches, but he doesn't actually do any hacking through it. It's all mechanical type stuff. Is that I could see him being some kind of weird spirit of some sorts or a manifestation or a magic of its own, but I think it degrades the character, and I think just making him a virtual adept that is much more physical than inside of like he's not a great hacker per se maybe, um, which is I don't know well, and it's one of those things is that you know what he's doing is pretty fucking good. It's all about hacking and stuff like that, but you never see him on a computer. I don't know how to interpret that. I feel like that's important, but I don't know how to spin that. To be honest, not witty enough.
Yeah, the way that I was thinking about it was like if you inserted yourself into the story and mentioned it to somebody like Lord Nikon, like, hey, what's up with serial killer? He never actually touches a computer. Lord Nikon would be like, no, of course he touches computers. And then for a second, his brain would be like thinking about it and it would break for a second. And then it would go back because it's like almost Marauder style of like, serial killer is just there around the hackers. He never does any hacking, but everybody remembers him doing it, but can't remember. It's like something weird like that.
I feel like maybe he's a ghost. He's a wraith, and
Ooh,
that would be
yeah, like a man. That's some higher level wraith powers, but sure.
It's possible.
being able to manifest like that,
Oh
or
yeah,
maybe skin riding somebody.
you could be skin
There is
riding
that
someone.
one where, yeah, there is that one where if you pair with somebody, it's easier to skin ride them, and you can do it like over and over again, like a thing. So maybe it's like a permanent skin ride kind of thing.
Hmm,
Huh?
interesting.
Yeah, Wraith. Uh, oh, so here's my weird kind of out there theory. Uh, Gil, the the guy who was trying to find them, is a marauder, and his paradigm that he affects the entire city with is he does take down people like the worm tainted bad guy, the plague, but in his paradigm what happens is he gets involved in people's lives and causes them retroactively to solve the case. So all of that like backwards echo time entropy effect, even all the way back to Dade at a young age doing the hack, moving to New York at the right time, running into Freak, going to Cyberdelia, meeting all those people, having the conflict, etc. It's all of this. It's all to take down the plague retroactively. He reordered reality to such a massive degree that it's insane.
Interesting. I like that. Crazy, just crazy enough. So I'm kind of going
Yeah.
over some of the things we didn't really have time to kind of go over what we would put in for some of his attributes and stuff. So I'm going to kind of just run through that real quick here as we're wrapping up here. So it's all the movie's over now. The credits have fully rolled. Um, and the kind of character sheet that I kind of would make here at the very least would be strength of 2, dex of 3, stamina 2, charisma would be around 4, manipulation maybe 3 or 4, appearance would be 3 or 4, perception would be around 3 or 4, intelligence would be like 4 or 5, and then wits of 4 or 5. And possibly now computers I think is 5 by the end of the movie, but I think that it's something that almost even degraded like for him, that it was at like a 3 and went down to like a 2 or even a 1 at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, I could see that.
Um, I would say he's,
Yeah. So,
got some alertness and awareness. I don't think he has like any brawl or anything. Maybe a little bit of leadership. Some streetwise, some subterfuge. Um, but I wouldn't say like there's a whole bunch there. He's not really ever intimidating or anything. He's got some empathy. Maybe a little bit of expression, but not much. He doesn't show, or there's some stealth, I guess. Possibly I would say he would.
yeah, the dumpster scene,
Yeah.
that you could count that as stealth.
And he doesn't really drive ever or anything. He is athletic, so I'd say it's good, like some athletics in there. But we don't
Yeah,
see
they
him
rollerblade
fight or
around.
anything. Technology, I'd put him at like once again, at the beginning maybe at a 2 or 3, and then bumping him up to 4 or 5 at the end. Definitely computers, gets bumped up or at least is at a 5 by the end or a 4. Um, but I don't really see any of the maybe some investigation, some enigmas.
Oh, I'm
Um,
gonna say Enigma's 4 because he's the one who was all about that. That was his activity for cracking the worm.
yeah. No real occult or politics or maybe some science that he might have, but maybe some
Yeah,
academics of
yeah,
his, like as he was prepping for going to college. But he hadn't even gotten to college yet, so academics would be probably not even yet, but maybe one.
yeah.
Um, and then just real quick, like stuff for his arete, I would say would be maybe 2 at the
I,
beginning of the movie, maybe I mean 1 when he's a kid, 2 at the very beginning of the movie, if not just still at
yeah.
1, and then bumps up to 2 pretty quickly, and maybe by the end of the movie at 3, but that's a pretty big stretch. I feel
Mm,
it's just a
I'm
lot of
gonna go
power up
4.
and quickly.
I'm gonna say 4
Okay,
at
yeah,
the end.
well,
At the end of the movie, because and only because uh, he orchestrates the big hack at the end, and I think that represents a seeking. And he had a seeking early in the movie as well. Um,
Okay, so yeah, I could see that. I could see two
right.
seekings happening in there.
Oh, willpower. What do you think? Eight,
Yeah, I would
nine?
say we do hit a good 8 or 9 in willpower. Absolutely.
Yeah, why not? He's a
He's
mage.
spending willpower all over the place.
All right. So spheres one by one. Correspondence. What do you think?
I'd say like a 2 or 3. I don't see. I mean, he doesn't really do anything kind of crazy. And the one thing is that anytime he's into the digital web, it would get boosted up. So I would put a lot of his stuff at probably getting twos in like 2 in correspondence. We don't see anything at all really with life.
Yeah, no,
Prime
I would say no life. Prime maybe one.
maybe 1 or 2, but you don't have to give it, and it doesn't really need it for anything. Entropy, I would say 1 or 2. Matter and
I'd
spirit,
say
you don't
two.
really need. Um, Forces, he doesn't really do anything kind of crazy with forces. Maybe if you wanted to put it up to 2. Yeah, I could see that. Mind, I could see maybe 1 or 2. In time, I could see 1 or 2.
Yeah, I agree with pretty much all of that.
But yeah, it's a it's there's a lot of possibilities there, and it all kind of deals with what you're allowing, or what you think he's actually doing, and how he's doing the hacking and stuff like that. And a lot of the times with mage, the hacking is the magic. Like, he didn't really do any hacking, he actually just did magic, which is hacking, which, it's a complicated, weird thing on just what spheres are and what it means to manipulate the universe, and what advanced science is, uh, and what magic with a K is comparatively to wizards running around throwing, lightning bolts because they're canting in saying an incantation. Um,
Yeah, and also like this movie in 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 the movie world, in the world of darkness, it is completely accurate to say this is exactly how hacking worked for virtual adepts, because like when we were in high school or younger, like that's what hacking looked like. And so if you had that ability to warp reality, that's what it would look like to you. You're just like, I'm programming, and then stuff happens. And it's not you doing it, it's your avatar. So it makes perfect sense. Hackers definitely happen in the world of darkness.
oh yeah, absolutely. All right, well, I think that's a good time for us to wrap up here. That was an awesome, nice little run here. We're almost at the 2 hour mark. So anything before we wrap this on up?
I just hope that my voice doesn't cut out all the time because my internet sucks right now. But yeah, no, I think that went. I hope everybody enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think it went pretty well. I didn't hear you cutting out too bad. So, but yeah, this will be one I'm gonna sit back and listen to again for sure. Love
Yeah,
hackers. All right, thank you all for watching, and thank you for joining me with and coming up with this idea, Moto. This has been awesome, and have a great day.
yeah. Bye, everybody.